English translation, 562nd contact, Whit Monday, the 20th of May, 2013, 0:06 hours.
Here I am, Eduard, my good friend. Greetings.
Greetings to you too, dear friend, and welcome too. It is a bit tiresome, I think, that I have called you again, but again there is something we need your advice on. It is true that we have taken a decision, which we will have Atlantis communicate to the national group, since it is for the core group. But we would like to know what you have to say about it and possibly make it a provision.
Florina has informed me in detail about this. So we have discussed it and found that you are correct to forward the letter to you and the core group to the national group, as it is the latter's responsibility. What we have to say is still the same as I explained on the 25th of August 2010 at the official 500th contact conversation, which you will please copy and paste into this conversation so I do not have to repeat it specifically.
Bernadette has also already picked it out for me, so I just have to copy and paste it.
Excerpt, 500th Contact Report, Wednesday, the 25th of August, 2010.
With your permission, I would like to start with these sheets here, which you should read first, and then tell me what you have to say about them. It is important. There have been some misunderstandings about this matter, which have been cleared up in the meantime, but what is written here, for example, by H, who wants to become president of the national group. I am not one of those human beings who blindly follow a directive. Even if it comes from Billy, I find all sorts of things, because when directives are given by the association, they are based on our statutes and bylaws. Surely it is not acceptable that they are not followed. If we in the core group did not strictly ensure that the statutes and bylaws were followed exactly, we would not be what FIGU is today. To follow the instructions and articles of the statutes and articles of association are necessary if everything is to take its correct course. But if the instructions are not followed, then everything or at least a lot is doomed to failure.
Let me read. If a person who aspires to the office of president of a national group writes something like what is written here, it should be clear to me that this person is deliberately violating the statutes and bylaws and is not suitable for the office of president of a national group. Indeed, it would be clear from the outset that if such a presidency existed, the group would not be able to function in terms of order. A presidency must be ruled out in advance for H, because these words alone disqualify him as the group's leading personality in the form of a president.
I also said that, but not only for the reason what is written here in these sheets, because there is another thing, and that is this. H has succeeded in getting a meeting place in the group to rent a room from a group member who charges 60 euros for it. In addition, H has insisted that 2 people in the group move out of their own house and take over a caretaker position. This is more or less what I was told. And also, I think that this is not in accordance with FIGU. I think that the property management is a coercion that should not be done by any member of the group, and especially not by a person who wants to be the president of the group. And with regard to the rented premises, I find that it is not for FIGU members to charge group members for a meeting room. They are all in the same boat, which means that they all work with and for each other, and are therefore not out to harm the members financially, which is indeed the case in this case. In addition, the group has the possibility to use a suitable meeting room in an inn for a total of 50 euros, against a consumption fee, as it has always been the case with FIGU.
What you say further proves to me that H is not suitable as group president. He acts arbitrarily, arrogantly, selfishly, compulsively, and obviously imperious and suggestive towards the group members regarding his desires, ideas, and wishes. Furthermore, it is clear from this that he has not understood the meaning of the FIGU regulations concerning the statutes and bylaws. If the national group should really come into being, which seems to me more and more questionable, then H must under no circumstances be involved in a leading office. And what I want to say about everything that Bernadette has written to him according to these sheets, everything is correct. If mistakes have been made with regard to some things, then this is to be understood and no rope is to be pulled out of it, as is sometimes said by Earth humans, when misunderstandings, etc. occur.
I am reassured. But it is simply not to be understood that certain human beings always immediately seize power and want to turn everything around in their own way when they see an opportunity to do so, even when they cannot see things clearly and cannot judge them in the correct sense. Everyone always wants to be the greatest and to rule over all others, rather than being on the same level with everyone else and discussing and deciding everything together in a harmonious, correct, and relevant way. And this must be done without the lust for power suggestively influencing, persuading, or forcing others to make any decisions.
Unfortunately, this evil of wanting to rule prevails among the majority of Earth humans, which is why they also do not want to place themselves in a general and appropriate order, nor in laws and recommendations which would be suitable for creating peace, freedom, and harmony, as you repeatedly point out in your explanations. What is to be said in this connection is in reference to the remarks you made to Florina on my behalf, which prompted me to convene our panel last night. What we have decided is this. A. It is clear to H that neither you nor the core group have to comment on his letter and decide on admission to or refusal of admission to the Phi-Gu National Group, over and above the instructions of the Phi-Gu National Group, since the Phi-Gu National Group is solely responsible for decisions in this regard. B. If H has made an application for admission to the Phi-Gu National Group, but has refused to follow the orders issued by us that he may not hold any office in the national group, because he abused the office he held in the former group arbitrarily and to the detriment of the group, also in financial terms, then this is his business. Consequently, he can also only hold himself liable for this and must understand that no more office can be assigned to him due to the breach of trust committed against the former group. C. As far as H is concerned, he must be made to understand by the Phi-Gu National Group that our order is valid to the fullest extent, that if he wishes to be admitted to the group, he cannot exercise any office, but can only be a learning, collaborating member, who of course has the right to vote in the group community in the case of decisions and votes, etc. Consequently, should he be admitted, if he is in accordance with the Phi-Gu National Group's regulations, as well as with our instructions, he is a normal member of the group. For this purpose, however, he has to confirm in writing that he is a correct member and that he never intends to seek and carry out an office. D. As a passive member of the core group of the parent center, Simyase Silver Star Center, Hinterschmidruti, Switzerland. He does not make any special orders because there is no wrongdoing towards the core group, but the whole wrongdoing is only related to the Phi-Gu National Group. So far as one thing is concerned, and as far as the other things you have explained to Florina are concerned, we have also reached a decision on this. Namely the following. 1. The use of an office for the purposes of self-empowerment and as a power function must never appear in any Phi-Gu grouping, whatever its nature. However, if a member acts contrary to this, he must bear the corresponding consequences, which are that the office is taken away from the member in question and that he may be financially liable for any damage caused, if not even exclusion from the group in question must be considered as a result of lack of understanding it, etc. 2. If an application for admission to an Phi-Gu National Group or also to an Phi-Gu Study Group is rejected by such a group, and also for comprehensible reasons, which in any case have to be harmful to the group or to members in any way, then this cannot mean that this should correspond to a rejection which is final for all time. Thus, another possibility for an application for admission shall be offered, but this possibility shall not be given more than 3 times. 3. If an application by an applicant person for admission to a Phi-Gu Study Group or Phi-Gu National Group has been rejected, or if the applicant person refuses to be included in the orders, regulations, rules and guidelines, etc., thus preventing admission to the group, It should be possible that after a waiting period of 2 years, an application for admission may be made again if the person concerned is still interested in joining the same group. However, this may only be done 3 times with a waiting period of 2 years each. This should also apply if an applicant person, despite his or her application, refuses admission of his or her own accord for any reason whatsoever. For example, if the applicant person in question does not wish to comply with the instructions, provisions, duties, rules and regulations, etc. If, after a 2-year waiting period, which starts from the date of rejection, an application for admission to an FIGU study group or FIGU national group is made again, then it is to be dealt with normally and neutrally. But the facts leading to the first rejection must be proven or confirmed in writing by the person making the application and therefore no longer appear. 5. Applications for admission to an FIGU study group or FIGU national group must be treated neutrally in any case and must not be affected by personal dislikes, differences, or partiality of group members when admissions are voted on. Only verifiable facts may be taken into consideration, which also includes written statements by the person applying for admission.
This should also be clearly regulated now. Hopefully there will be no more of these things. For my part, I find it regrettable that new factors have to be dealt with again and again in order to maintain and guarantee order.
The creation and maintenance of order requires provisions, rules, and regulations, as well as laws and recommendations. This is unavoidable, and also with us Ptaah. The difference between us and the Earth humans, however, is that our peoples have for a very long time been obeying the laws and recommendations given to us, as well as the rules, regulations, rules and ordinances, etc., and that for a very long time there has been no violation of them. Whereas among the Earth humans, in many respects, given laws and recommendations as well as ordinances, rules and ordinances, etc., are repeatedly violated.
Which in my opinion is probably partly due to the fact that what is correct simply does not want to be recognized, but also to the fact that everything is simply thrown to the wind, whether deliberately or thoughtlessly. But know-it-all, self-importance and arrogance, as well as a lack of conscientiousness and obstinacy, are also likely to play a major role, along with various other negative factors.
That is undeniable.
Well, then I have something here. According to your investigations, more than 75% of climate change and thus climate destruction is currently occurring at the expense of the human beings on Earth. But that has been vehemently denied by irresponsible scientists and other know-it-alls. But it seems that something is happening now in terms of recognizing reality. Because Guido brought me a small article which, following a mega-study, proves that the human beings of Earth are to blame for climate change. Look here.
On the one hand, sooner or later the truth has to be found, and on the other hand, it can also no longer be hidden.
It is finally time for the criminal deniers of the facts to be exposed. But something else. At the weekend meeting we decided that the point D, which you mentioned on the 9th of May, and which we are to insert into the statutes, is to be extended to include and private. So the whole thing is to be called as follows. D. FIGU study groups and private individuals are not allowed to print and distribute books, and are also not allowed to accept contributions, donations, legacies, and bequests. Such contributions, donations, bequests, and legacies are to be directed solely to the Mother Center.
This addition is probably appropriate and should be attached as such. But perhaps instead of "and private," it would be better to use "and private persons."
That might be good. Bernadette can change this in this way. Then I have something else about Michael Horn. He has been working for our mission for about 30 years now and is my mouthpiece in the USA. So I have also promised him a few things regarding permits, etc. And, as you said recently, when we were discussing various things privately, we can give him the same rights for the USA as we have for the FIGU national groups. Unfortunately, we did not discuss it officially, only privately, so there is nothing about it in the official report of the talks. This should actually still be done.
That is as correct as you say it is. Michael Horn should have the same rights as the Figu national groups. However, this privilege is an exception that can be justified by all the efforts Michael Horn has put into the mission, which is of particular importance in the USA, and because he is the only human being who has remained steadfastly committed to the mission all these years. If you thus grant him the privilege of enjoying the same rights as those given to the Figu national groups, then this is absolutely right, as we have also found in our committee.
Thanks, then this is also clear and will be put in writing.
I also have something to say, and that is what Quetzal asked me to tell you. When he came here last time, he noticed on his walk around that there are dried branches on various bushes and trees that need to be removed. There were also some bushes where there were excessive branches that had to be expertly cut back. In this regard, Quetzal will be coming here in the near future to walk with you through the grounds so that he can show you what kind of maintenance work is still to be done on the bushes and trees in question.
You can tell him that I am happy to walk the grounds with him and to be instructed by him. I have been walking around the area for the last 2 days, and have also noticed that there is still some work to be done, especially with regard to dried or broken branches. I also noticed a shrub in the Hausbungert, which is growing out of its branches in an unattractive way and probably needs to be pruned. But I like to wait for Quetzal and let him give me the necessary instructions.
Quetzal is concerned about the large gaps in the cherry laurel bushes, which unfortunately now provide a very good view from the hiking trail to the house seats. So he asks when you are going to get and plant new privacy bushes for those places, as I privately forgot to tell you this instruction from Quetzal during my last visit. He is really worried, as I am, about your and the group members' safety, which is no longer given by the gaps in the cherry laurel bushes. He asks you to take immediate steps to restore the privacy of the area by appropriate replanting.
It has been quiet for years now, so there have been no more attacks, and we all hope that this will also continue, and that no more madmen show up to do harm, and that there will be no more shooting around. But I can understand Quetzal's concern, because it had also affected some of the group members and me. So I went ahead and bought 9 thuja emerald trees of sufficient size to block the view through the holes by planting the thuja in the correct place and in the correct manner. This work was of course not done by me, but by Silvano, together with the passive members Michael Uitebrooke, Marius Marcel Gorbanescu, and Jimmy Chen from Canada. So everything is already so dense again that it is no longer, or only with difficulty possible to look down from the hiking trail to the house seat. You never know if the human being is crazy again, because he is under the delusion that he has to do something because something does not suit him.
That is probably correct. But Quetzal will be pleased and reassured that you have acted so quickly. I can also say from myself that I am very relieved.
That is also the case with the group and myself.
But what I want to say now, we both spoke privately about Louis's passing away and thought about him in silence. What all of us Ptaah, and I speak for all of us who were indirectly connected with Louis in the mission, but now still want to do, is that we all remember him with honor and dignity as a human being and as a member of a group through my words, and that we have always greatly appreciated and are grateful for his many years of membership and cooperation, which he did with great commitment to the mission. We will keep an honorable and dignified memory of him, as will Christina.
Thanks. Excuse me, but thanks for your words.
Then I want to leave now.
Please, one more question. I have been asked why you still come here on the usual route, which takes 7 minutes, when you have had the opportunity with the transmitter gate for quite some time.
That is no secret. The fact is that we probably developed the technology so far years ago that we have been using this transport possibility for goods ever since. In the first time, however, there was a regrettable loss because we lost some androids when we transported them through the gate. That was the reason why we, despite first attempts with human beings, which all came off to our satisfaction, had to refrain from these attempts again. When for then indefinable reasons, suddenly goods, and then also 3 androids disappeared through the transmission gate again. Only after a long time could the real faulty cause be found and eliminated. Since then, however, the transmission gate has only been used for the transport of goods and artificial organic life forms in a test manner. These tests will be completed this year, after which animals and human beings may and can also be transported through the transmission gate. If that is the case, then we who are visiting you will also use this means of transport from Era or from my wide-bodied flying apparatus.
So to my office or wherever else I am at the moment?
That will be the case.
Then the diversion via the beam ships is no longer relevant. But when will that be?
It will be in July.
So about another month and a half. Then I can jump into your spacious room or, depending on the situation, also set foot on Era.
That will then be possible.
Magnificent. I am already looking forward to that. But what about the beam ships? Can a transmission gate also be used by them? Or do we still have to beam from them, like when Florina or Anjana come here?
This will not yet be possible, but our technology is also being developed in this respect, so it will also be possible in this way in the foreseeable future. However, the technology for this is still under development and should take several months. But now, Eduard, dear friend, I must leave you again. If it is good for Bernadette, then I would like to come to the correction work on the 1st of June. Then farewell and goodbye.
One more thing, if I could.
Please.
Guido has created a concept for holding UFO lectures. Is it advisable to hold such lectures again?
It can be very useful if there are also relevant explanations regarding the mission and spiritual teachings, or the teaching of the truth, teaching of the spirit, teaching of the life. Ufological things alone are no longer appropriate in our times, but should only serve as so-called hooks, as has been the case with mission since the beginning of time, and as it should also be done today. And if lectures actually come about and are carried out, then it is important to ensure under all circumstances that no missionary work is done at all, but that only facts are presented and interested parties are given answers to questions.
That is clear. And UFO lectures, which are linked to missionary work and therefore also to spiritual teaching, would therefore be advantageous.
That is correct.
But it will probably be difficult to organize and carry out such lectures, because core group members who want to do this work also have to register for it.
For them, however, it will not be exactly like that, if at all, that they will have hundreds of listeners at lectures, as was the case in your time.
You are thinking of Munich, Vienna, Olten, and the center, or?
I am, yes. But now, dear friend, I really must go. Farewell and goodbye.
Take care and also goodbye.